Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm your host, David On Point. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins joining us here for another. We're going to be breaking down the New Orleans Saints season preview for 2022. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Prime Sports World, a pretty good place to hang out. Please like, share, and subscribe on the podcast. Every single share, every single like helps us build our brand. And so we very much appreciate it. But yeah, TJ, how are you doing, man? Happy Sunday. You know, we're only like 3 months away from football being Sunday again, like football on Sunday again every day. 2 months.
Well, NFL football. That is.
Yeah,
USFL football is going on right now. So if you need your football fix, watch the USFL.
That product has been so mediocre, though.
It's fucking year one. Were you expecting spectacular play?
I don't know, man. I thought it'd be better than it did. You know,
Jesus Christ.
I guess I just thought it was going to be better than what it is right now. But
why? Why would you think? Why would you think that?
I don't know.
They literally play in one stadium.
I know, and it's empty most of the time. I just don't know how that league can survive with that stadium being the way it is usually. But yeah,
it's gonna be fine.
I have shared the StreamYard link to all of the places, so if you want to come on, join the show, and talk a little bit of New Orleans Saints football, more than welcome to do so. Please, feel free to be engaged in the Prime Sports World experience. Just help us have a better experience on the show. But yeah, TJ, so before we get into some storylines for New Orleans Saints, let's just talk about expectations. What are your expectations for New Orleans going into this season?
Just stay healthy. Like you are. It's hard to gauge that team that we saw last year because you lost Jameis. I forgot at what point you lost Jameis, but you never had Michael Thomas like at all.
Yeah, he didn't play.
You're somewhere between what you did to the Packers and what was it, like week 2?
Yeah, they beat them 43-3 or something.
Yeah, it was bad. And then you're somewhere between that and your worst game of the season, which if I can find it, scores. Yep. Like if you could, like that's where they are. Like they are somewhere in that. Like you beat the Packers 38-3, but you lose to the Panthers 26-7.
And a game that if they won, they could have actually, I think, made a playoff spot if they'd won that game. Because they were right in the thick of it all the way up down the stretch, even after James went out.
You lose to the Eagles 40-29. You lose to the Bills 31-6, which is kind of expected. But the one team that you weren't supposed to beat in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you beat them twice in the regular season. But
they've kind of had their number over the last few seasons. Like New Orleans has kind of been the kryptonite.
Outside that playoff game.
Outside of the playoff game, but they have had Tampa Bay's number, at least in the regular season over the last couple seasons. So let's get right into those stories. For New Orleans, I think they're only going to go as far as Jameis Winston can hang him. If he comes into this season and plays, adequately, I think the defense is good enough that it could carry them into a playoff spot, or like potentially for a playoff spot. But let's take a look at their storylines. So dawn of a new era in New Orleans. Sean Payton retires. Dennis Allen is now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. It's kind of like a brand new era for New Orleans Saints football. Drew Brees is gone. Sean Payton is now out the door. So what do we make of just what does this mean now? Like what's going to happen now with New Orleans going in the future? Like Dennis Allen is now the guy. He was the defensive coordinator. What do we expect from year one from Dennis Allen, and just it changing the guard kind of here in New Orleans?
Well, it's I don't know. Like it's Dennis Allen has his coaching record isn't a good one because he was a part of those. Was he a part of those St. Louis teams that just weren't good?
He was in Oakland, I think they were still in Oakland at the time. I think he only spent like 2 seasons there before he got fired.
Oh, that's right. Dennis. When Al Davis was on the coaching carousel.
Yeah, he's coached for 26 seasons. He was the head coach. 20 of them in the National Football League. He's been on the New Orleans coaching staff for 12 seasons, first from 2006 to 2010, and then returning in 2005. So yeah, I don't have his other coaching on here, but
Yeah, well, he started out like his first NFL job was in Atlanta. Then he was there from 2002 to 2005. Then he went to New Orleans from 2006 to 2010. Went to Denver. Was head coach in Oakland for 2 years, and then he went back to New Orleans. So he's been in New Orleans since 2015. That Denver stint was his only head coaching gig. He was 8-28 as a head coach. Yeah, I mean, everybody is due for a second chance. This is not one of the rehashed names that we keep talking about because this is literally his first head coaching gig in 8 years.
and I mean, he is one of the premier coordinators in the National Football League. Like that New Orleans Saints defense last season kept them in the hunt all the way till the end. That's how freaking good their defense was last season.
Yeah, he went 4-12 and he went 4-12 and 4-12.
I mean, and in Las Vegas, I mean, we were basically, in Oakland there at the time, I mean, no real quarterback play to speak of. A lot of meddling with the front office, with the ownership there in Las Vegas / Oakland. It just wasn't a good scenario to be the head coach of because they basically went through head coaches every season. Like it felt like.
Yeah, it was bad. And then in 2014, they started off 0-4 to start the season, and they said, "Yep, gotta go." What? So I mean, like you got to keep an open mind. Again, this is a guy who hasn't been a head coach in 8 years, and he has quite a big shoe to fill.
Mm-hmm.
But so if I'm Saints fans, I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to understand and know this. He's not gonna be Sean Payton. He's not Sean Payton. So don't expect the New Orleans Saints to still look like they would if Sean Payton was still there.
Like I expect them to be a lot more conservative offense, maybe not go for it as often on a fourth down. Like I expect this to be a much more watered down New Orleans Saints passing, like offensive attack. I think with the defensive minded coordinator, knowing how good the defense is, I think they're going to be seeing New Orleans go a lot more conservative on offense this season. A lot more running the ball with Alvin Kamara, depending if he's not suspended or not.
Right, and I don't know what kind of offensive system Pete Carmichael Jr. likes to run. That's the offensive coordinator. So, and I don't know how long he's been there. He's been in New Orleans since 2009. Okay, so
he's been there a while.
So maybe obviously he picked up a little bit from Sean Payton. So maybe their offense is still going to be somewhat the same with Jameis taking shots downfield and whatnot and everything.
Yeah, he's for sure got the arm for that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, they take some deep shots here and there. But I do think this will be a more conservative offense with Sean Payton out of the picture.
I doubt it.
Yeah?
I doubt it.
Okay, well, we'll see.
I think
go ahead. Moving on to the second storyline, we're talking about Michael Thomas. Basically hasn't played football at all for this team in 2 years. What do you do with him if you're the New Orleans Saints? His trade value could not be lower right now. If it would be possible for his trade value to be any lower, I don't think trading him is a great option. But what do you think they should do with him?
Well, I think so. Like when you say trade value couldn't be lower, I think other teams don't think that. I think that. I mean, obviously, like, is he a first? Like, is he worth a first? No, you're not going to trade a first for Michael Thomas, especially like this version of Michael Thomas.
I mean, a relative unknown right now because he hasn't really played in 3 seasons, so we don't really know what version of Michael Thomas we're going to be getting.
So, I mean, you can't. I wouldn't be surprised if that's literally the holdup. Like, if teams are calling for Michael Thomas in the world, it's like, well, we want a first. We want a first, a third, and something else, and other teams are like, no.
I mean, we're only 3 seasons removed from him breaking Marvin Harrison's record. Like it's not that long that he was the best, arguably the best receiver in football.
And that record stood for a long time.
20 years,
Like that record stood for quite a while. Like, what was it, 143 catches in the season? He
I
topped
think
it
it was
with one.
144. I think.
And he topped it with what, 144, 145.
Yeah.
Like that. So I mean, like, I just hate like the narrative that's been spun about him. Like he's Mr. Slant Man. Well, I'm like, is he Mr. Slant Man, or did Drew Brees' arm die to the point where Michael Thomas was reduced to quick slants and quick ins and out routes because Drew Brees didn't have the arm to push the ball down the field anymore?
I certainly think it's a mixture of the two. But even if he's just running slant routes, I mean, what's wrong with that? Those slant routes generate first downs. Like that's how you generate consistent offense by keep continuing to have the football. Get a first down. Continue to run the ball. Get a first down. Run the slant pattern. That's nothing wrong with being a slant guy. Like that negative stigma is ridiculous to me. Oh, David Henderson joining us on the show has a comment. Saints are going to be horrible. I'm not so sure about that, man. I actually think they're going to be okay. I think that might be.
Really don't know.
They should have a defense that should be able to carry them through a lot of the tough times of this season. But I'm not sure what they do with Michael Thomas. If I'm the Saints, I'm not trading him. I don't think we're going to get good return for him. And you got to think like having Jameis Winston there, having Chris Olave, another former Ohio State wide receiver. Maybe you could gel with that offense and bring Michael Thomas back into the fold because we're only a few seasons removed from being arguably the best receiver in football.
Yeah. So and it's two things that we got to be concerned about with these, and it's literally their top two offensive players. We haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything about Michael Thomas. We haven't heard anything about Alvin Kamara. Haven't heard a thing.
Well, right, the NFL has been so distracted with all the stuff going on with the Washington football team and Deshaun Watson. Like that Alvin Kamara arrest has kind of flown way under the radar.
Like way under the radar, and it's so I'm sure that I'm not saying like they're completely ignoring it, but at some point in time something has to be said. Like what's it, June? We are a couple months away from we're a couple months away from OTAs, where everybody got to be there, not just the rookies. Like we're getting to the point where everybody has to be at OTAs and training camp. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, I mean, like you can get by without Michael Thomas, because they literally just did it.
They just did it last season, and he only played eight games a season before that, and the team made the playoffs too. So
he's played a grand total of 7 games in 2 years. So you can get by without Michael Thomas. We've barely seen this offense without Alvin Kamara, and that's the scary stuff.
Especially if you have a quarterback coming off an ACL tear, I don't think you want to put that kind of pressure on him to carry this team through a 17-game season without Alvin Kamara. Because if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, I'll say he's probably going to get a 4-game suspension. Like it'll probably be 4 games because the video's out there, and then
Kamara.
Yeah, like the video's out there. You can watch it. So we'll see. Moving on for the final top storyline: Jameis Winston or bust at quarterback. Do these Saints?
David Henderson said Saints have no QB. He was a part of that. He was the QB of the team that beat your team 38-3 first game of the season. And your team allegedly has a QB, and he only mustered up 3 points. So do with that information what you will. Yes, it's Jameis or bust at QB. We've seen this offense under Trevor Siemian. We've seen this offense under what was his name? Taysom Hill. Right. Yeah.
They don't even have Trevor Siemian anymore, and Trevor Siemian Taysom Hill is not listed as a quarterback on their depth chart anymore. He's just strictly a tight end. They have Andy Dalton and Ian Book as their 1-2 backups, and that is probably I think Andy Dalton. If you're rolling out Andy Dalton, you're in trouble.
But Andy Dalton is serviceable, right?
Sure.
You have to feel way more comfortable. Like if Andy Dalton's your backup, okay. If James gets hurt again, I don't have to worry about Taysom Hill dropping back 30 times because we know he can't do it. Ian Book had 1 game and he was awful.
Yeah, when he threw 5 picks in it. Yeah,
he was awful. They lost 20-3 to the Miami Dolphins, and he threw 2 picks, but it was just bad. Like it was bad, right? Like that's what happened. So that's why you go out and get Andy Dalton because Ian Book isn't ready to do much. It's ready to be more than just what he is right now, right? Third
Yeah,
string quarterback,
yeah.
like super emergency quarterback, right?
But I
So
would still probably I think if Jameis Winston was to get hurt again, I probably think they would go with Taysom Hill over Andy Dalton, probably.
no, what? No, leave Taysom Hill
But
where he's at. Leave Taysom Hill.
use him as guy situation. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
because he
leave
wasn't
him
that.
where he's at.
I mean, he was fine in spurts during like as the starting quarterback for this team last season. Like there were obviously games, there were obviously moments where he was completely overwhelmed, but he didn't play
He lost,
particularly.
bro.
He didn't
There's
get.
a reason. There's a reason they went with Trevor Siemian first over him.
It's true.
There's a reason. There's a reason
Yeah.
they did that.
Yeah.
So you can say he looked fine at spurts, but let's see. He was the QB against the Cowboys. They lost. The Jets, they won. Nah,
I mean,
Jets. And they played Tampa Bay. They didn't even score a touchdown. It was field goals. They won 9-0. 3-6-9. 3 field goals. That's it. And then Ian Book got to start against the Dolphins, which we were all sitting here like, what the hell was that? Like, why did you make that switch all of a sudden? And then their last 2 games were.
well, I think Taysom Hill was hurt. He was dealing with some sort of ankle injury, and I don't think he didn't play towards the tail end of the season either. Like he didn't play at the very end of the season.
Yes, he did. He got the last 2 starts against Carolina.
Oh he got hurt
Carolina.
during that game again and didn't play the second half and cost me a fantasy title. Yeah, I remember that now. That's right.
Fantasy.
I'm just saying, dude. It's very frustrating.
But yeah, it's clearly Jameis Winston because when Trevor Siemian was the quarterback, he went 1-5, right? As when he was the starting quarterback of the Saints, and that included a 1, 2, 3, 4. That included a 5-game losing streak. They lost 5 straight after his initial victory, right?
So
it's
Jameis Winston or bust for the New Orleans Saints. If he can't guide them to wherever they're supposed to project it to go, this team will not go anywhere. And he needs to be healthy enough to. He needs to be healthy as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they were 9-8 last year. So something tells me if Jameis is healthy, that 9-8 could very well have been 10-7, 11-6. You know, ball goes their way a little differently. Jameis makes some throws that these other guys couldn't make, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument maybe they win this Giant game. I don't know if he was already out by the Giant game, but
no, they lost. He was there. They lost in OT. But you lose to the Falcons 27-25. You lose by 2. You lose to the Titans 23-21. That's 2 wins right there.
You probably win both. You probably win both those games if you have Jameis Winston on your team. You probably make the playoffs if you have Jameis Winston for those 2 games. So we'll see.
Right,
moving on from that, let's talk about their draft. So round 1, they traded up to get Chris Olave, wide receiver out of State. Also in the round 1, they traded up with Philadelphia pre-draft to take Trevor Penning to try to replace. We'll get to him in a minute, but and then they took Alontae Taylor, safety out of Tennessee, DeMarco Jackson, linebacker, Appalachian State, and then Jordan Jackson, defensive tackle out of Air Force. So what do we think about their draft and what they did here? Because, they didn't have a lot of draft capital, so they didn't have a lot of picks to actually use. But I think what they actually did here was actually pretty well done. You get Chris Olave, you get an offensive tackle on a rookie deal. It's going to be under your control for 5 years. Who is a pretty good value at 19.
Yeah, that was. I think the Trevor Penning one, like that's gonna be a steal. Like I liken that to what happened to what was his name? Laramie Tunsil. Like he just kept dropping in the first round until somebody finally snatched him up. Trevor Penning had top 10 draft grades. Like there were several mocks that had Trevor Penning going in the top 10, top 12, and one of those spots was to New Orleans at 11, but they got him anyway at 19. To get Chris Olave at 11, right outside a lot of people had Chris Olave going in the top 10, and he falls to 11. Wow, what a drop off! You obviously get Chris Olave and with anticipation of whatever your response is to the Michael Thomas situation, you also we'll get to it when we'll get to it, but you also go out and you sign Jarvis Landry. So you have a very serviceable 1-2
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Olave
I mean,
and
better.
Jarvis
Better
Landry.
than Silver. Silver. I mean, better than serviceable. I mean, that could be one of the top 15 tandems in the NFL next season.
Like health is, everything. But they had
The Saints finished 32nd overall in passing offense last season. 32nd.
and something tells me if they had just some big arm QB, I don't think they finished dead last.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right?
Yeah.
So
They did have to give up pick 98 and 120 to move up the 5 spots, but I mean if that's the guy you want, I mean and there was no guarantee that Chris Olave was going to be there at 19 when they had their other pick. So if that's the guy you wanted, you had to roll the dice on him now. Because you remember how the draft went. There was a crazy run on wide receivers. Like right after what's his name got taken by the Jets, the other Ohio State wide receiver. Like every team started, every team started trading up to try to take. We thought it was like 3 picks in a row where teams traded up to take a wide receiver, including Detroit, and then we thought Philadelphia did the same thing, but they ended up taking Jordan Davis. But like it was a for sure run on wide receivers, and like Chris Olave would not have been there at 19 if they had stayed pat and said they wouldn't have missed out on him. They wouldn't have gotten him. So, and I love the Trevor Penning pick. I think this is a guy that's going to be a future right tackle of the future. You put Ryan Ramczyk on the other side and have him on the other. Like that's a pretty good side ends on right and left tackle moving forward in the future.
With Cesar Ruiz, man in the center spot, they have very little draft capital to work with. But you look at it like this: I walked out of this draft with Chris Olave and Trevor Penning, and Alontae Taylor at safety. I'll live with that.
So Taylor probably is going to play defensive back or a corner in the NFL. 6 foot, 199 pounds. They project him to be a corner at least at first. He gives them scheme versatility as well because he can play basically anywhere in the secondary.
And that's all you ask for. For a team that had only 1 second round pick, no thirds, no fourths, and no sevenths, it's hard to grade that draft pick. It's easier to grade this than what Seattle did. Like Seattle just had that 1 year Seattle had 3 picks.
Yeah. I mean DeMarco Davis, 6'1", 230-pound linebacker, had 120 sackles, 19 of them for loss, 6 sacks and 6 pass defense in his senior season at Appalachian State. The guy is good, really good linebacker. Should give them some depth. DeMarco Davis, Pete Werner.
Exactly. He's 23 years old, man. He's young.
Yeah. And then Jordan Jackson, defensive tackle out of Air Force, 6'5", 294, had 7.5 sacks last season as a senior. In total, 15.5 over 3 seasons in the National Football League. And they needed a little bit of defensive tackle help. I don't know how much he's actually going to help, 6th round pick, but it's another depth move. That's something they needed. So I actually think they did a pretty damn good job with their draft this season. Given their reduced.
Is he going to be able to play?
Jordan Jackson?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because by him going to I know players that go to academies like the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. Like if you get drafted, you still have you have that obligation to serve in that.
Yeah, I don't have that information in front of me. He's currently listed on their draft chart, so I'm just going to assume that he's going to be able to play. Right? I don't know, so we'll see. But yeah, without draft capital, I think these New Orleans Saints did a pretty good job filling some of the holes in their roster, which was created by their free agency situation. So in major additions when it comes to free agency, Jarvis Landry, Matthew, Marcus May, another safety to replace Marcus Williams, Teron Armstead, and Quan Alexander. Quan Alexander is still a free agent, so it's good potential that he could come back to this team. But the fact that they drafted a linebacker in the 3rd round makes you think he won't be. He hasn't really been the same player since that Achilles tear. So I don't, who knows? And they basically got two safeties for the same price that Marcus Williams cost. Even though I do think Marcus Williams is slightly a better player, but and then they also have
who?
Matthew and May. I think Marcus Williams is a better football player than both those guys.
Be respectful.
Okay, all right.
That's all I'm gonna say. Be respectful.
Marcus Williams might be the best safety in football, dude.
Be respectful. All right. Until Marcus Williams is asked to do the things that Honey Badger had to do for that Kansas City defense, be respectful.
And David Henderson said Olave is actually going to be in the slot for the Saints next season, which he could be. I don't know.
Not right. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I actually think Jarvis Landry will be more in the slot, but we'll see. What do you think about their free agency? This is a team that was pretty camp strung. Didn't really have a lot of money to make moves. Still able to get a good wide receiver and a good safety. They were also able to re-sign Jameis Winston, obviously. They were able to bring in Andy Dalton to be the backup. They were able to re-sign P.J. Williams, who's a safety for them. Traquan Smith, they re-signed as well. Dwayne Washington, backup running back, who gives them some depth. Could also play some special teams. Forrest Lamp re-signed with this team. I did not even realize he was on this team. But yeah, he's Forrest Lamp back here. Daniel Sorensen, after a really rough season last season in Kansas City, he's going to be in New Orleans as well on a basically non-guaranteed deal. Taco Carlton signed a non-guaranteed deal. Yeah.
So obviously you're, excuse me. I feel like it was a big deal, reuniting Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry because they were at LSU together, and the first thing that they said was all we need is Odell Beckham, and we in business. But those guys get to go home basically, right? They return to a place that I'm pretty sure Jarvis Landry actually did grow up in Louisiana, and I don't know about Matthew if he grew up there too. But like you said, like they did what they had, they did what they could with the finances that was available to them. Now you can't not coming out of free agency with cap strong with Jarvis Landry, Tyrann Mathieu, and Marcus May.
No.
Right? So it's almost like you had to pick, like you didn't even have to pick and choose. It was like, all right, I can't afford Terran Armstead, so as much as it pains you, you gotta let him go.
I can't afford Marcus Williams.
Williams, I gotta let him go. So you had to do that, right? Like fans can get mad all they want. Like, why can't we? Why? No, it happens. Like now you look at certain teams like the Rams who just appear to have money out the yin yang, and you ask your favorite team, like, why can't my team do what the Rams do?
Well, eventually, I'm sure that spending is going to catch up with the Rams.
So exactly.
So let's see. Me personally, I actually think they did a damn good job in free agency. We talked about this kind of at the start, before free agency kind of started, the problems they were going to have with the salary cap situation, and the fact that they were able to come out with 3 players that are going to be starters for them next season. Even with losing Marcus Williams and Terran Armstead, but you replaced Armstead, or sort of replaced Armstead with Trevor Penning. Obviously, there's no immediately replacing a Pro Bowl level right tackle, but
yeah, no.
This is like Trevor Penning is going to be a cheaper option. You have control over for the next 5 seasons. I think the Saints did a good job with this offseason as they could have done under the circumstances. With your coach retiring suddenly, with the cap situation, with no real draft capital, you're able to really produce it on paper, a roster that's pretty solid. Like a defense that should be in the top 5, an offense that should be fringe top 10. Depending if people stay healthy.
Yeah, that's across the board. Like it's a lot of Q's next to these names. I mean, and it's obviously because that's the last time an injury report was, given to them. But they're questionable next to Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, Marquez Callaway, Taysom Hill, Ryan Ramczyk, Peyton Turner, Marcus May, Will Lutz. Like these are guys that's going to be key contributors to your offense and your defense. Right, and Will Lutz is a place kicker. I take that back. Will Lutz is your kicker. So, yeah. I mean, you already know how I feel. Like it starts up front. Like obviously, Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle. Like he's your starting right tackle. Like the guys that are listed behind him are behind him for a reason. So, and you already know, like if one starter on the offensive line is out, whoever is taking his spot, that's the weak link on the chain. Now that's who defenses immediately go after. So yeah, and
Yeah.
as long as
So
Mario Davis is playing, yeah, defense is gonna be fine.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Dude is a monster. Moving on, let's talk about their schedule. The first week of the season, they face off against the Atlanta Falcons, the new look Atlanta Falcons without Matt Ryan for the first time, first game without Matt Ryan. Do they come out of that game with a victory?
Yeah, they get division play out the gate.
Yeah, they go to Atlanta, take on the Falcons.
They go Atlanta, Tampa, and Carolina. The first 3 weeks is divisional opponents. They should beat Atlanta. Jameis or Dalton, they should beat Atlanta. If they don't beat Atlanta, it's gonna be a
So
lost season.
when I did the season preview for the Atlanta Falcons show on Saturday, no, I don't remember when I did that show. But I actually had Atlanta and New Orleans splitting their season series, and I had them winning the home and home. I actually think Atlanta has like sneaky top 10 defense potential this season. Like their defense is going to be awesome this year potentially.
Not they on the field all the time, but
yeah, we'll see. But I think Atlanta gets this game. I think New Orleans falls to 0-1 to start the season. Actually, I think they fall to 0-2 to start the season. I think they lose that game against Tampa Bay, even though this game is in New Orleans. Even though they do have Tampa Bay's number as well, but I'm actually gonna. David Henderson says they have an easy win against Atlanta. I will respectfully disagree with you, my friend. Win. I will respectfully disagree with you. I'm taking Atlanta.
I'm taking New Orleans. Come on, man. And yeah, they lose to Tampa. They lose to Tampa, and then they beat Carolina.
Agree with you 100%. So then they go to New England to take on the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not sure whose home game that technically is. It doesn't really matter.
It's a neutral site game. So I think Minnesota has the better quarterback. They have the better run game. They have the better offense. So Minnesota wins this one. It's gonna be entertaining though. I'm looking forward to that Marshawn Lattimore, Justin Jefferson matchup, or whoever Marshawn Lattimore is locked on.
I think the problem with Minnesota is that their secondary is just god awful, and they didn't really address it in the draft. They didn't really address it in free agency. I know they brought back Patrick Peterson, but he's one guy, as you like to say. I actually going to take New Orleans to win this game. I think Minnesota is going to struggle to stop New Orleans, especially if they have that offense cooking up. Like if Jameis Winston hits the ground running, and Chris Olave blends in seamlessly, and Alvin Kamara avoids any lengthy suspensions back for this game. Yeah, give me. I also think the NFL is kind of thinking about. Like, do we want to have Alvin Kamara? This is week number 4, right? So, do we really want Alvin Kamara suspended for week 4 when one of our mainstay franchises goes to England to play over there across the pond? We want to have one of the star players for one of the teams suspended? I don't think so.
Yeah, Minnesota.
I'm taking New Orleans.
That's cute. Minnesota.
I'm taking New Orleans. I would agree to disagree with you on this. And then they Seattle comes to New Orleans. Who do you got in that game?
So anyway, Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm taking New Orleans as well. I got them in 3-2. Then Cincinnati comes to New Orleans to take on them. So how do you think this one's going to shake out? David Henderson has they lose to Tampa 1, split the season series. I agree with you on that.
I disagree.
And then the next week he says Kirk Cousins chokes and they lose. Minnesota loses 17-14 in England.
Yeah,
so he
you would like that. You would like that when you Packer fan. Anyway, is this Joe Burrow's first time in the Superdome? I mean, like not maybe. like as a pro, like not obviously not
I mean maybe probably.
So what I'm getting at is usually like players. QBs, first players in general, that first time in that Superdome, like it gets to them, right? It's loud, it's raucous, it's shaking. Saints fans are nuts. There's always that one bald dude who's painted black and gold with the shoulder pads, with the spikes.
Yeah, is it the dude with the whistle helmet too?
Yeah, you got him too, and then so that home field usually benefits the Saints in that situation. Not this time. You got a guy who Yeah, he was.
He's,
Yeah,
he's
he
Joe
did
Cool,
special
dude.
things.
No,
He did
nothing,
special things.
nothing flatters. Nothing seems to fluster Joe Burrow, dude. Like the guy's just cool as a cucumber all the time. Like
But
I'm
but
taking
that's not the
Cincinnati. I'm taking
that's
Cincinnati.
not the point. But like he also did special things in that Superdome, right? Like that he had a national championship game in that building.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So yeah, like that. If you think if you think Saints fans are just gonna boo Joe Burrow because he plays for Cincinnati, no.
I also think there'll be a real split when it comes to Saints fans who are also LSU fans who also love Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, like they love Joe Burrow. Like
It's
I think the reception of Joe Burrow is going to be pretty positive. I don't think there'll be a lot of booing. That's just my honest opinion. But I'm taking Cincinnati. The next week they go to Arizona, take on the Cardinals. How do you see this one checking out? I'm going to have them lose this game, regardless of who the quarterback is at Arizona. Yeah, I obviously if it's not Kyler Murray, yeah, I'll give it to the Saints. But
this is he's out this game. This is the last game of
yeah,
DeAndre Hopkins is
you know what? I'm actually with that being a point and fine, I'm actually gonna take the Saints to win this game, regardless.
I mean I get it, but man, yeah, this is tough. This is harder than people like this is harder than you think. All right. Yeah, you got two quarterbacks who both who both tend to mess up in opportune times. Like Kyler Murray, Jameis Winston, they both mess up at the absolute worst time. Fool. Kyler can't afford to have a bad anything this season. Kyler has to be damn near perfect.
I mean, if he wants to get paid, and he's not gonna. I don't know. That whole situation's kind of a mess right now. I don't really. I mean, we haven't really talked about the update on it, but I mean, he hasn't really been updated. But still hasn't shown up on the team, and he says he's still not going to play without a new deal. So who knows how that ends up play? David Anderson has the Arizona Cardinals winning 31-14. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to take New Orleans to win this game.
Walk off.
What?
New Orleans in a walk off.
Okay. Will Lutz kicks game-winning field goal.
Yeah. In a walk off.
And then Las Vegas comes to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Obviously, I think they actually get into a little bit of a winning streak here. I'll take Las Vegas to win this game. I'll take the Saints to win this game too. I think they beat Las Vegas.
I do not think they beat Las Vegas.
Until I see Las Vegas actually play football, I really I'm hesitant to think about how good they're going to be. Right?
I do. No, I do not think the New Orleans wins this game.
I'm going to take New Orleans. And then I think the losing streak ends at 2 because Baltimore comes to town. And David Henderson said the Saints win and Devontae Adams drops 3 passes. He would say that, right?
He would say that. Is that bitterness? Is that
for sure some serious bitterness. And then the Baltimore Ravens come to town. I think this is where the winning streak ends. I'll have Baltimore beat New Orleans in New Orleans to have them drop to 5-4.
So they lose 2 in a row to me.
And this is kind of like where the gauntlet of their schedule kind of kicks in. Like they go to Pittsburgh, they host the Rams, they go to San Francisco, and they go to Tampa all before their bye over this 5-week stretch. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the Rams, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay. Do they win any of these games?
I honestly think I think that Pittsburgh game is going to be a pick'em. We'll get to them when we do their season preview. They are seriously. They did it, but they did it to themselves. Honestly, you can't draft a quarterback in the first round and not play him at all. So, like, you signed Trubisky with the anticipation of Trubisky being a starter, but Kenny Pickett fell to you at 23? 20. So you can't do that. You obviously you can do it, but this is the question. Like, these are the questions you're gonna have. You don't have 4 preseason. You don't have 4 weeks to decide a starter. You have 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have minicamp and 3 preseason games to determine Who's going to be your week one starter? All right. Now, obviously, if you felt that type of way, you can still you still could have signed Trubisky and kept him as a backup because Kenny Pickett did grow up in your backyard. You literally saw him in your facility every day. Instead of turning left, he turned right to go to the pit part of
Heinz Field.
the building. Like, yeah. So I honestly feel like by this point this season, this game should be a pick 'em. So I honestly think they could beat Pittsburgh the whole time.
I think of the 4 games that we're talking about, the Pittsburgh Rams, San Francisco, Tampa Bay.
This is the one.
I think they're going to win 2 of these. I think they'll win Pittsburgh, and I think they'll go to San Francisco and beat San Francisco with how good that run defense is for the New Orleans Saints. So, yeah, I'll have them win 2 of these games. I'll have them beat Pittsburgh, and I'll have them beat the San Francisco 49ers before they go to their bye. That has them at 7-6 for me as they go into their bye.
I probably got him at like 5-7 because I got him losing more like 2 more games than you do.
Yeah, but
yeah, the last time we saw San Fran and the New Orleans play San Fran, George Kittle went absolutely nuts. He caught that one pass and he like stiff armed the entire Saints defense.
Yeah, I remember.
While getting his face mask grabbed and
yeah.
Set up a walk-off field goal.
David Henderson says they'll beat Pittsburgh. They're rebuilding. Is Pittsburgh rebuilding? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know for sure if they are. I think
quotation marks around rebuilding.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
It doesn't feel like a rebuild. That's for damn sure. And then after their bye, they host Atlanta. I think this is where they get another victory. I think Atlanta comes to their house and they lose. So I got them at 8-6.
I got them sweeping Atlanta. I think they beat Atlanta both games.
Okay.
Because Atlanta, we know for sure, is rebuilding, not like Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, Atlanta, I still think like they're gonna have a top flight defense next season. Like AJ Terrell's only gonna get better. I like the stuff they did during the draft. Like I think they're gonna have a top flight defense next year.
That's cute. Again, if your offense is not holding up its end of the bargain, and they're going 3-and-out, and putting that tired defense back on, at some point, the levees, no pun intended, New Orleans, the levees is gonna break.
David Anderson thinks they're going to sweep Atlanta because they're not good, which is true. I had Atlanta. I think I had Atlanta like 4 and something when I did their preview the other day. And then they go to Cleveland, take on the Browns. I imagine whatever Jameis Winston or Deshaun Watson suspension is being handed out at this point. I imagine he will already have served it and be back by this point. I will take Cleveland to win this game easily.
I can't wait till we do that preview. I really can't.
Well, we're gonna get to it.
Because
probably be a minute, but
the more stuff that comes out, that suspension goes from 4 games to 6 games to 8 games to you probably looking at another year, bro. And I'm being dead ass. Like the fact that Goodell hasn't said anything and they have it's baffling and straight up just disrespectful. But how you feel about the Raiders is how a lot of people should feel about Cleveland. Just because you got the upgraded quarterback don't mean everything is going to be gold. They still got to play. If this was watching that QB still with Odell and Jarvis, yeah, right now it's scary hours. Who the hell is catching the ball in Cleveland right now?
I mean, Amari Cooper.
Okay. Who else? That's one guy.
I know Donovan Peoples-Jones is still there.
I actually like him, but yeah. I know for a fact, like with Amari Cooper,
David Njoku is they're very highly paid, overrated tight end.
I know with Amari Cooper, he only gonna be good for about 8 or 9 games, so half the season.
They have Jakeem Grant now.
And his production specific, especially gonna drop off when they get cold, because it get cold in Cleveland, and he don't like the cold. So yeah, I wholeheartedly think until this Deshaun Watson situation gets fixed, I don't have him playing a game. for the he can't play a game for the Cleveland Browns. So for that being said, New Orleans win this game just because of that fact alone.
I think it'll be an 8-game suspension or a 10. I think he'll be back by this point of the season. If it even matters for Cleveland. If you in a very difficult AFC, if you don't have your starting quarterback for 10 games, you probably kiss your season goodbye. And then they go to Philadelphia, take on the Eagles, and I think this is where the Eagles come out on top. I don't think this is going to be a virtuoso for Jalen Hurts, but I do think the Eagles will be a little bit better next season. Give me the Eagles to beat the New Orleans Saints.
We are never letting that. We are never letting that down.
No, dude.
From Izzy ever.
Get that virtuoso.
Oh God. Oh, I just don't see it, man. I don't see like what Izzy and Skip Bayless, Cleveland needs to send Baker and I'm sorry card. They did. It's called $19 million.
Yeah.
That's their I'm sorry card. But with Philly, I don't see what Izzy and Skip Bayless. I don't see what they see in Jalen Hurts.
I don't see it either. He's wildly inaccurate. Like he can't. He doesn't hit. He doesn't make good reads. Like he
had the same receiving core that Tua and Mac Jones had at Alabama. Those receivers were better under Mac Jones. Those guys won awards under Mac. Devontae Smith literally caught passes from both of them. One of them got him the Heisman, and it wasn't Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I don't see it either. So, but I still think Philadelphia is going to be a better team. I think on defense they're going to be awesome next season. So yeah, give me, especially now they got James Bradbury on that roster now too. Give me Philadelphia to win that game.
New Orleans still won. They steal this game.
And then the final game of the season, I think they come out with a W. They beat the Carolina Panthers. This game is in New Orleans. It doesn't really matter where the game was because they're going to beat Carolina no matter what. So I have them finishing the season 9-8. I do not think that's good enough to make the playoffs in the NFC this year.
I think I got them somewhere in the same vicinity as you. But I had them at one point. I had them like 5-7, but they finished super strong. So yeah, 8,
you haven't won all 4 of these games, so you have them finishing like 10-7,
10-7,
or 9-8, probably the same record that I
9-8,
got.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Same, yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, like it's depending on how the rest of the field shakes out. It's not like they're like. I don't think they're going to be out of it.
No. I think they'll for sure be in it, but I just don't. I just don't think it'll be enough victories to get in. Like the NFC West is. They got 3 teams.
Yeah, the NFC West is going to be tough. Well, we can count on 2 of them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in the North, I expect Minnesota to be solid. Maybe not.
Well,
I don't know.
Truth be told, NFC West, we can really only count on one of them, and that's the Rams because we don't know what Trey Lance is going to do.
It's true. It's true. 9-8 could be good enough to make the playoffs in the NFC. Actually, now we really think about it some more.
Yeah, we don't know. Like we don't know what's going to happen there. We don't know what the NFC East is gonna trot out. Like, don't know. All I know is I think the Super Bowl winner is definitely going to be in the AFC, and I don't like it's pick your poison over there.
Yeah, right? I think the AFC is going to be tough. It's going to be a gauntlet. Whoever comes out of the AFC is going to really earn their stripes.
I seriously think whoever wins the AFC is going to win the whole dig. So
I agree with you on that. But yeah, this has been our New Orleans Saints season preview. Let us know down in the comments section what you think New Orleans is going to finish record-wise. I have them at 9-8. TJ's got them at 9-8. We have them as a fringe playoff spot. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Pride Sports World, pretty good place to hang out. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast as we continue to grow this brand. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the Lady Sooners at Oklahoma. You go 59-3, and you complete your run it back tour. You went back to back College World Series for softball, and shout out to the men who made it, who's going to the College World Series for like the first time since like 2005, I believe it was. So yeah, Oklahoma, Baseball powerhouse. Baseball and softball for sure, but baseball powerhouse. Woohoo.
Yeah. Love it. Good to see you. Good to see. Yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow, breaking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will do that show before Game 5 of the NBA playoffs. So that show will start at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm David Huppin. There's TJ Hopkins. You all have a good rest of your day. Peace out, brother.
See you, bud.